We're going to hear from George, the CEO of C2Sense.
Greetings, tough tech community. C2Sense is a high-performance team of world-class experts in chemistry and nanomaterial, and we are committed to delivering mobile sensing solutions for a healthier and safer world. My name is George Linscott, and I'm proud to be here today to tell you the C2Sense story. A story that actually is represented well by this quote from Hemi at Breakout Labs. It's a story of how in 7 months the C2Sense team stepped up to deliver on the mission of tough tech. We spun out of MIT about 7 years ago, to commercialize carbon nanotube gas sensors. And this remains a core part of our business today. At the start of this year, we were on a strong path to commercialization. We had customer trials lined up, and then COVID hit. Unfortunately, some of those trials were postponed, but not all of them. I'm proud to say that we just completed a major technical milestone with a large-scale customer that will lead to millions of sensors in 2022. The path to get to home diagnostics from gas sensors actually started 2 years ago. It started when we made the conscious decision that we were going to be a market-driven sensor company with gas sensors as our core product. This change in thinking led us to develop something called Aura. Aura has two core products that have been greatly accelerated by COVID. One is product authentication, we call AuthentiCags. It's currently in trials at several Fortune 100 companies, and we expect to see that launch sometime next year. The next one is Halo. Back in March, when COVID hit, just like all of you, C2Sense shut down, and we watched as the testing dilemma in the United States and across the world became increasingly urgent. When sometime later we saw that there was not only a testing problem, there was a reader problem. And we understood that our Halo technology could read certain off-the-shelf tests. So that's when we sprung into action. Within 4 short weeks, we had Halo working at a clinical proof of concept in Johns Hopkins, and that gave us the data we needed to speak with people who had tests and people who needed tests. And then things got incredibly interesting. What we discovered was that the people who needed tests needed real testing solutions. They needed something that was simple, easy to use, something they could deploy to their populations, was digitally connected and highly accurate. What they needed was something we now call distributed diagnostics. And C2Sense also found itself in a very interesting position where we could make a connection to deliver on that market need. So last month, we signed a contract with a late-stage RADx company. We are taking their assay, we're merging it with Halo, and we're bringing it to market in time for the second quarter. And then to really enable this shift toward telemedicine. It's important to note that Halo doesn't just read a test. It combines biology, chemistry, and advanced optics to actually make the test better. So as you can see here, this is a demo of the assay we're bringing to market. The swab locks into the tray and preventing any biohazard. The phone plugs in within 15 minutes after the assay flows. You're ready to take a picture. That picture then can transmit data to healthcare professionals and also to the FDA for disease surveillance. So what we ended up with after 7 months is we went from 1 business to 3 strong businesses. So next year at the Tough Tech Summit, you're likely to hear from 2 other CEOs pitching the C2Sense technology, because we'll likely have to spin some of those out. If any of you are interested in partnering with us, I'd certainly like to hear from you. And C2Sense is currently raising funds, and if you're interested in investing, I'd like to hear from you as well. I'd like to close by thanking our board, thanking the engine, and really the larger tough tech community. Without the doors that opened from our friends at MIT to get us into some of these opportunities, this could have never happened.
Thank you, George. So first question, what is the market for Halo diagnostics after COVID?
Oh, great question. I think it's important to understand that the Halo is not a test. It's a platform to enable lots of additional tests. And when we first filed the patent, we saw it at that. We saw it as a participant in the telemedicine market to bring lab-based diagnostics into the home. And certainly what's happened with COVID, it allowed us to get in the game with that. But now we're seeing that we can be part of what this giant shift in toward telemedicine, to not only be part of that, but to enable that in a significant way. We had a good conversation with the senior vice president of Teladoc last week, and he described the market the best. He talked about that the healthcare system has got points of friction between the patient and the provider, between the provider and the payer, between the payer and everybody else. And to the extent you can reduce that friction, you're helping the system out. So one of the things we're able to do by bringing, not only for infectious disease, but chronic disease, by making these, converting these tests over for using Halo, we not only bring them into the home, but we make them better and we give them a digital connection. That makes it easier for the patient to get information to their provider from the comfort and security of their home. It makes it easier for the telemedicine provider to get real actionable data from the diagnostic, and it makes it easier for the payer because you're reducing costs throughout the whole system. So we see us as enabling all sorts of interesting diagnostics post-COVID.
So let's take it from the kind of systemic level down to the COVID opportunity that you have. How many COVID antigen tests can you deliver next year?
That's another good one. So the benefit we have is because we partnered with a RADx company. They are scaling up to be, and that's where the constraints are. The constraints in the system now are in all the material sets that make up the assays and the equipment essentially to put them together. And they've got scale up to 30 million tests per month, and we could get access to that production as long as we give them a couple of months notice. So that's what we're doing now. We're signing up partners. We're getting, once we get through FDA validation, we've got contingent purchase orders from them that allows us to get as much of that production as we need to satisfy our customers.
Great. So pretty clear your company has the team and the skills to develop Halo, but bringing a rapid diagnostic to market is a different thing. What skills do you have in your team, and are you building to do that?
That's another great question. I'll just say we were lucky. Last year, we brought on a strategic advisor who was Assistant Secretary of Defense for Chem and Bio, and he led the Ebola response in Africa. So we've always had a strong advisor in that role. And then in January, we brought on a senior executive to help us really put together the business plan associated with these things. He has 10 years of experience in the rapid diagnostic space, particularly with readers. And so we had him on board when COVID hit, and he's really driven this whole program. And most recently, we brought on another senior executive with 30 years in the diagnostic space, and he's leading the development effort to get it out into the marketplace. So between the strong network provided by all those folks and the domain expertise, that's what gives us the capability and the confidence to bring it into the market in hopefully the January, February timeframe.
All right, great. One last question. Thinking about quality control in the diagnostic platform, how do you all approach the sensitivity specificity trade-off on a 15-minute timeline?
Yeah, well, one of the great things about our platform is we greatly lower the limit of detection that we can. And so now, as we go through the clinical trials, that's when we'll determine that window that we can hit and get those numbers. But we're fairly confident. Remember, we're taking a known test, and that test already is one of the top leading tests in the marketplace.
Great. Thank you so much, George.